Hi everyone, it's Elle. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this is a video I've been wanting to do for quite a long time now, and for whatever reason I've just kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And I'm now at a point where I'm like, I feel I need to talk about the thing that I'm going to be talking about in this video, because I'm wanting to use my platform to inspire and maybe even inform understanding of autism and the experience of having autism at school. And this is also something I'm going to share. I don't think a lot of people know about this. So people who might have known me for many years now probably don't know this, what I'm about to share. So it's kind of, so I'm wanting, from this video, what I'm wanting is for, by sharing my experiences, it will make, I don't know, parents or children or teenagers stop and think, oh, is my child, or have I gone through this sort of thing when I've been at school, and that's not okay. Right, so I think I'll just start off. As you may know from following my channel, I'm a neurodiverse identifying woman, but specifically I have a doctor's diagnosis of autism. I was diagnosed when I was 4, during the time in which very little to nothing at all was known or really understood about autism in girls. The only thing that seemed to be going around was how there was something on the Y chromosome for boys, I think, which was causing which was where their autism may have come from, but nothing was known at all. There was only a very, very small percentage of any girls being diagnosed that young. So I'm among the very, very privileged few to have known all my life that autism is part of me. So when I was a child, when I was young, my autism was much bigger part of me than it is now. I've grown from all of that, but I still can remember some quite, well, I'm going to say traumatic incidences from when I was at school, and one of them was when I was about 5 or 6, I think. So I had a friend who'd I'd known from playgroup, but he really liked tickling me as a joke, and apart from my autism, I really didn't like the feeling of being tickled and being touched, and I was running away from him and went to go in my room, and and looking back, that was an act of self-defense. However, when I slammed the door, I trapped and crushed some of his fingers, and he ended up going to hospital. And it was not long afterwards that what happened reached the school, and I was only 5 or 6 years old, and the teacher made me stand up in front of the whole class and say, Eleanor's done this, she's trapped William's fingers, how could she do that? And well, it's probably not what she said, and she said, and she's really, really sorry, and I'm sure said a whole lot of other things. But that naming and shaming, I look back on, is how could they have done that to a 5 or 6 year old? And I acted out of self-defense, and that school really didn't get me. I was very much branded a naughty child who was disturbing and frightening all the other children in the class, when that should not have been put out. So the message of kindness and understanding, which I think is integral to someone on the spectrum succeeding in mainstream school, just wasn't there. I then went on to another school, but I will admit, I had very low reading and maths levels, and when I would get asked to stay behind, say from, I don't know, assembly or break time, or stay behind at lunch to do activities, there were times where I would just have a complete meltdown going, no, I don't want to do this. This isn't part of the routine of the school day. And then afterwards, I'd be sitting down with a TA doing some sort of letter or card, say starting with when a teacher asks me to stay behind, it is because of this, and I must not be so rude. And that was something I wasn't actually able to share with my parents until not too long ago. And honestly, I am still so shocked that they never knew about this and that the school kept that from them. And I'm sure it's something which is still going on. There was also a boy in the year above me at my school who was in the same class. Now, his autism was much more complex and a much bigger part of him than it was for me. And I remember teachers kind of grabbing him and restraining him and then dragging him out the classroom when he was about to have a meltdown or he was misbehaving or something like that. And it seemed as though they were doing that to take him away because he was frightening and disturbing and disrupting everyone else. And looking back on that, I'm just like, that is not okay. You do not restrain, well, you don't restrain anyone. And for someone on the spectrum, having people go in like that, invade their personal space, grab them when they probably might not want being touched, and then dragged out the room, that can cause an overload and a meltdown. So, as you can see, this is quite big for me to talk about this, and it is a little bit triggering, but I am okay to keep sharing things. So, and then particularly the first few years of secondary school was just a nightmare. I was bullied, and which really impacted my mental health, and then there were other things going on outside of school which was contributing to it. And when I started off at secondary school, I had a really good support officer who took the decision to retire after my first year, and then another lady came in, and now I don't hold a grudge against the person who retired, because what was to come, you know, she could not have known about it or could have predicted that it would happen. The person who took over from her was just awful, and she was very bad at her job. She made little to no effort with me, and there was also something about that. It was thought that she might have been conducting activities that she wasn't supposed to, and she was breaking the rules, and so she wasn't there long, and someone, you know, more decent took over. I really wish there was a thing or something in place where if a lesson just got too much for me, where people were misbehaving and talking, if that became too much, then I could be dragged out, because I would often come out of lessons just feeling very, very overwhelmed and frightened and just unsafe. There was a year 8 science teacher who would shout at us a lot because there were loads of there was a lot of people misbehaving in every single class, and I was scared and there wasn't a single lesson where he didn't shout at us or go oi, and that noise was horrible, and I would dread every single lesson with him. And then the languages department was honestly just a complete disaster and a complete farce. And there would be, you know, supply teacher after supply teacher after supply teacher. People kept misbehaving, and there were teachers who they did temporarily bring in who really didn't suit the position, and I would just sit there and just try and not have a meltdown during that. And I do wonder why I didn't like just go storm out during those times, because I mean that was probably would have been my flight response, and rather than, you know, a fight response, which might have been staying in and taking it. But and if I had gone for a cry or cried to someone about it, going, this isn't okay, it's really upsetting me, I felt that I would get more bullied than I already was, and people would gang up on me, including in a maths lesson in year 11 where teacher had decided to play a game where at certain points in the game you could take points off other people from what they had, and nearly every single person in that class decided to gang up on me. And I really don't know why I didn't just stand out the room. Like, if I did that again, or if I somehow replayed it, I think I would have gotten up and just stormed out going, this isn't okay, stop treating me like this, and maybe used it as a means to stand up for myself. But unfortunately it's not what happened. So I know there are probably people on the spectrum in mainstream schools who may have been through or are having struggles that may be reminiscent of what I've been through. And there's probably people going through it now, or going through things that are even trickier and much more and much worse and much more not okay. So, and that's why I've done this video. This sort of behaviour and response from teachers and all of these points I've made, it's not okay. You have to step up. You have a responsibility as adults to treat to put out a message about the importance of kindness and empathy and accepting of people who are different and who may have different sort of sensory needs, or have problems with what may be regarded as good behaviour. I really don't want, it's already hard enough to think that there are children and young people going through the challenges of mainstream school and all that because of a lack of understanding or willingness to understand, and that ignorance has such a profound effect on that person and the things that and who they are going forward. Because as a neurodiverse, someone on the spectrum, there is a chance that if I have children, then I may have children on the neurodiversity spectrum who may have, I don't know, autism, ADHD and dyslexia, and it is really scary to think that they could go through things that feel very reminiscent of what I went through, and I don't want that at all. I would want my children to feel, you know, grow up feeling accepted and that they can thrive and have friends, and that difference isn't a weakness, it's a strength. Because that's what's most important. Difference and diversity is what makes us stronger as human beings, and this is what will create a better world for everyone to live in. And I hope one day that, you know, that it will happen, and that it is starting to happen, and that maybe someone who sees this video may feel like they've been helped from it. So I think that's all I'm going to say on that front. Thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you soon. Bye.